We're going on an adventure! It all started in a log house on a lake. My parents built the house themselves and named it Esgaroth. All of our cats were named after hobbits, and we also had a dog named Strider who looked after the cats/hobbits. My cat was named Bilbo, and he was the best cat ever. You see, the Hobbit life chose me. I grew up on The Lord of the Rings, especially The Hobbit, so I decided to put together a Hobbit look a few months ago, and this is all going to be using thrifted items, so I think it's really cool that I could just kind of reuse stuff. This wool skirt I already had. I usually use it as a petticoat underneath various outfits. This skirt was some sort of a cloth that I found, maybe an embroidered table runner or something like that. So anyway, I just cut it in half and pleated it into a waistband, so it very easily becomes a skirt. I did it in this way that it ties, like the back piece ties around the front and then the front piece ties around the back. That's something I learned from 18th century petticoats and skirts and the like, and it's something I think is really convenient. You can also wear pockets underneath, and then you could reach them through those openings if you wanted, so it's a pretty nice design. I made this apron out of a cool striped fabric I also found at the thrift store. It's basically just a rectangle that I hemmed on the edges, and then I created a waistband and pleated the apron into the waistband. The bodice is also made from a thrifted fabric. It's a dark navy blue cotton that I found, and I cut it using my kind of trusty bodice pattern. It's actually part of the drafting instructions for my Renaissance dress/kirtle, and that's a really kind of versatile style that I end up using in a lot of sort of folk looking outfits as well. It's boned at the front here, and I usually put boning along the back and the sides as well, but on this one I only put boning in the front, so it wasn't quite as rigid as some of the other bodices I make. For this one, I sewed buttonholes along the front there, so that's where I have the lacing going through, and I have a piece of boning on either side of the buttonholes, so that stabilizes them so that it's a little bit easier to lace up and it stays put a little bit better. I decided to go ahead and make a new cloak because I also had a thrifted blanket that I thought would make a perfect cloak. For this cloak, my hood is a similar shape to the one that I did on my circle cloak in a prior video. Now, for the cloak portion of this one, it's shaped, so you can see there it's shaped to taper over the shoulder, and then it just flares out a little bit. So it's actually nowhere near as full as the circle cloak. This one does also have arm openings in it as well, but it doesn't take nearly as much fabric as the circle cloak. So it's a nice idea if you just have a blanket and not like a bunch of yardage of fabric. And I also use this leaf clasp on it. I think looks really nice and Lord of the Rings-esque. And then because I wanted to be festive, I decided to wear a headpiece with it. I made this a long time ago, actually. It's a headband which I covered in felt, and then I glued flowers, fake flowers and leaves onto the felt and kind of built up the design that I liked, and I thought this fit pretty well with the outfit, so I'm gonna go ahead and use it here. One thing I really love about Hobbit style clothes is that they're also sort of just like folk style clothes. I've always been a fan of folk dress since I was a little kid, and I just really like the style. So these types of outfits could be Hobbit core or they could be folk core, and I think that's super cool. They're a little versatile. You can even wear them to Ren Fair. It's perfect. So right after I made this outfit, I went up to Nebraska to visit my mom, and while I was there, my friend Kayla was having a Hobbit-themed birthday party for her and Evan, and I didn't bring my Hobbit outfit with me, so that meant I had to make a new one. So Kayla and I went to the Goodwill outlet where everything is $1.27 a pound, got plenty of materials, and I got to work. Of all the things at the Goodwill outlet, I found this in Swedish. It means Butter and bread makes the cheeks red. And my mom is from Sweden, so I had to get this for her. Mama, can you say it how it's written on there?
Smör och bröd gör kinden röd.
Now say it in dialect.
Smör och bröd gör käken röd.
For this outfit, I actually found a white cotton shirt that I thought would be perfect underneath, so that was pretty easy to take care of in itself. Here I'm going to show you the same wool skirt worn underneath as a petticoat. You can go with or without a petticoat. It's up to how full you want your skirt look to be. This skirt is actually really simple. It was made out of curtains I found at the Goodwill outlet, and I simply cut rectangles from the curtains, made a waistband, and I didn't even have to hem it because the curtains were already hemmed. So all I had to do was really sew a couple panels together, put them on a waistband, and boom, done. The apron for this look is super simple. It's actually just a really large rectangle of cloth, which I hemmed, and then I'm sort of draping it over the belt that I'm using to tie it on. So that way it gives it that kind of cool drapey look there. The bodice was once a wool skirt, which already had a peplum, so I actually used the peplum from the skirt as a peplum for the bodice. And other than that, I basically just cut the bodice shapes out of the wool skirt. I just made them about what size I wanted. Since I didn't have my bodice pattern with me, I just kind of traced around a shirt that fit me, and I knew that it didn't have to be an exactly perfect fit because I was gonna give it this little gap in the front here. So I'm actually using buttons and a finger loop cord to lace it shut in the front there. They're a little bit more finicky than actual hooks, but they look really cute, so I thought it was worth it. For this look, I decided to add a shawl. This is actually a shawl I just found the way it was in the bins at the Goodwill outlet. And so I'm wrapping this and tucking it into the bodice, sort of a la fichu or partlet, or, you know, one of those many sort of variations that inspired a lot of the folk dresses. I like it because it adds a little bit more color and texture to the outfit. Though if it's warm out, you might not want to wear it because obviously it adds a layer. And then since this is a festive party, I wanted to put on a floral head wreath. I was able to finish this outfit really quickly, so then Toby and I were able to help Kayla finish her dress on time so that we could all be amazing hobbits together. Now, a Hobbit party is of course completed with all of your Hobbit friends, and also don't forget to eat all of the Hobbit meals. You're going to need breakfast at 7 a.m., second breakfast at 9 a.m., 11cs at 11 a.m., luncheon at 1 p.m., afternoon tea at 3 p.m., dinner at 6 p.m., and finally supper at 9 p.m. I'm really happy that I got to go to the Hobbit party with Kayla and Evan and all of their friends. I really felt so welcomed and accepted, and I gotta say I love these folks in their barony of Magmore in the SCA. I always love hanging out with Kayla when I go up to visit my mom since they live pretty close to each other. And if you want to see how Kayla made her dress, she'll be posting all about that on her channel, McNerdy Makes. So go check her out too. I'd love to see all of your Hobbit inspired looks. Find me on all the social medias as Daisy Viktoria. My website is daisyviktoria.com. And a special thank you to my patrons over on Patreon who help me so much to continue creating amazing content just like this for all of you. I hope you have an amazing, magical day. Enjoy your breakfast and your second breakfast. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye. I'm going on an adventure! I'm going on an adventure! We're going on an adventure!